Hey guys, welcome back to another video on Gamers Edition. So in today's video we're going to be seeing how much overclocking potential the GT 1030 has. So let's get into this video. Okay, so the first thing to do is to download MSI Afterburner. If you guys want a link to that, I'll have it in the description box below, so go check that link out if you want to download MSI Afterburner. And if you're like me and you've already got MSI Afterburner on your PC, well, head over to MSI Afterburner. You'll have to click yes to this administrator, account control, and there we are, you have MSI Afterburner. By the way, if you do download the latest version of MSI Afterburner, it will have a skin on top of it, but that shouldn't affect how the overclocking works. Okay, so let's start overclocking this GT 1030. Now, one thing you're going to need before you start overclocking is a benchmark. Now, we've chosen Heaven Benchmark to use. If you guys want to use Heaven Benchmark, then I'll have it in the description box below. So we're going to be using this to see the before and after of the overclock. Now, when overclocking your GPU, you should increase the overclock in small increments and do the core and memory clocks separately, so that if your computer crashes, you know exactly what caused it. So if you overclock the memory clock before the crash, then you know the memory clock was your problem, and then you can find a suitable, stable overclock for your memory clock. Now, another thing to keep in mind is do not save your overclock on the profiles save thing here on MSI Afterburner. So you've got 5 save options. Do not save your overclock, and do not click this startup button here, because if you save the overclock and have startup enabled, then your PC will end up in a loop, continuously crashing when it loads into Windows. If you want to save your overclock without this, just take a picture using your phone. That's the best option. Okay, so now it's time to load up the Heaven Benchmark and see what this GT 1030 does on its base clocks from factory. So let's minimize MSI Afterburner and head over to Heaven Benchmark. Okay, agree to this. Full screen should enable itself. So quality high, actually let's put quality on medium, and we'll keep everything as it is standard. Resolution system full screen, yep. Anti-aliasing off. Actually stereo 3D, yeah, we'll leave that as it is too. Okay, so let's click run and see what this thing can do on its core clocks from factory. Okay, so we've now started the benchmark. Let's see what the average is. So as soon as I turned Heaven Benchmark on, the temperature shot up from 32 degrees to 45 degrees, and as you can see in the corner, the memory, and it'll show the temperature, the memory, and the graphics, the megahertz, and it also shows you the card, the GeForce GT 1030, and it also shows the average FPS. Well, that's not the average, that is the FPS currently. So it is now benchmarking, and I'll be back with another update once the benchmark is complete. Okay, and we're back. So the average FPS was 31.7 FPS, the score is 799, minimum FPS 90, and a max FPS of 65.6 FPS. Okay, now we'll close Heaven Benchmark and head over to MSI Afterburner, and let's start overclocking. So like I said before, make sure you do the overclock in small increments and do the memory and core clock separately. So first thing we're going to do is open the core clock by 50. There we are. You can use your keys, by the way, for this on your keyboard. And just to speed this up so that you guys aren't bored, I'm going to do the memory and the core clock at the same time. However, when we start getting into the hundreds, then I'm going to do it separately.
One eternity later.
Okay, so now that we've found a stable overclock for the GT 1030, let's head back over to Heaven Benchmark and see what this thing can achieve now. So just to quickly check, are we still recording? Yes, we are. Let's head over back to Heaven Benchmark and see what this thing can do. So we'll run it again on medium settings, well, medium quality settings, run. Let it take its time. And let's click benchmark and see what this thing can do. By the way, I do have an application running in the background, but that shouldn't really affect the performance as that's on the CPU. So I'll be back with you guys once the benchmark is over. I'll edit some of it out just so that it doesn't bore you guys to death. And yeah, we'll be back once the benchmark is over.
1 hour later.
Okay, so after all that overclocking, we got an average FPS of 35.6 and a score of 897. So that is an improvement from the last time before we did all the overclocks, and the minimum FPS was 21.4 and a max FPS of 71, which is pretty good because before it was 60. And then we've also got some other results there, which is the specifications of my system, but that's pretty good for this. Okay, and we're back. So that's all this little GT 1030 wrote. So if you like what we do around here, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.